And then a question. This has been made tons of video on this one, and I know everybody's probably just, come on, let's get to it. The CPG partner, we were told that there was a Fortune 200 partner. We were told that it would be revealed in the coming weeks. That was about a year ago. And we were told that it was Molson Coors caliber. They said functional foods, think cookies, granola bars, maybe more. Did that deal fall through? Or, Kaiser has stated that Kaiser Partners, your investor relations firm that you've outsourced that to, said that all non-core projects were on hold. Is that still the case, or what's the status with that CPG partner?
I'll answer it just to make sure it comes through. And look, you've got a functional ingredient in marijuana, THC specifically. You got to be real careful about putting this into areas which could get its hands into minors or overdosing in different areas. And anybody that's ever had an edible and gone through a number of those, they've had a bad experience in other areas. So when you start to make products that look more like traditional foods, candies, cookies, other areas, you got to be really careful in how this product comes in. Again, I come back. Remember, I'm a chemical engineer and food scientist. So I'm going to look at it through the food laws first. I'd like to say I don't, but unfortunately I do. In this case with the CPG and the other companies, it also was, what's really the profit that's in for the business for HEXO about doing these type of deals? Are we basically doing all the work, all the branding, all the manufacturing, all the areas, and then pay a royalty to somebody and not make any money? If that's the case, it's a bad deal. And so when I came on, there was a couple of areas that were still potentially moving around, and the dynamics of those had changed dramatically to the point where it did not make any sense to continue those relationships. And ironically, it was brought up to me from their side before my side made those decisions. So the CPG, there is no CPG in the pipeline that's coming out. Now, that said, in the US, I can tell you there's a ton of people that have wanted to work with us to come in to take a look at non-THC products. Those will probably continue. In Canada, the same thing that's gone on. But in this area around Health Canada, they have to get this CBD legislation locked down. In the US, the FDA still hasn't taken a ruling on CBD because of their silly patent that they've granted to Epidiolex, which is a phenomenal product, but they ring-fence themselves into allowing an active pharmaceutical ingredient into the food industry, which is a no-no. And so until those things get cleared away, legislation-wise, you're always going to be in a position that if you launch a product, you're basically breaching somebody's patents. If you launch a product in those things, you've got liability that potentially can linger on. When we came on board, we had to focus in on those four walls, as Julius talked about, combined with what we are. We're a cannabis company. We're not a cookie company. So we're not going to make cookies. We're going to make cannabis.
Right. Yeah. And then there's the distribution aspect, right? Like, what are you going to, how are you going to make, you're going to do cereals and bars and things like that and make people go to the MJ store, dispensaries and things like that to buy it? Or it's like, you're not going to have it in a grocery food chain store,
exactly.
Right? So, right. Yeah, didn't really. That was one of my questions. Was how is that going to happen if that was the case? Because I know they said they were piloting it in Quebec, and it just that was always something that concerned me. But I kind of figured you were going to say that. But
it goes back to, call it 2 years back. Everybody wanted to be everybody, right? So you're in pre-rolls, you're in flour, you're in gummies, you're in vapes, you got cookies and so forth. And kind of going back is when we inherited the business, there was so much to fix. Inside the four walls that you have to look at where do you have the biggest win, where you can stop, call it run from burning. And we did that, and this just wasn't a core focus for us.
Okay.
Well, I'll make it dollars and cents. I can do what we did on the pre-rolls, increase the capacity, the straight edge, put the new TNT strains, or I can put a brand out there that probably is going to have litigation around it. And it's going to cost me money. It's going to be negative margin. It's a no-brainer.